Hello YouTube, welcome back. So it's another week, another profile with Sir Slobs, and this week we've got Blackwings on the playmat. So Blackwings debuted over a decade ago, but have been blessed with something every archetype dreams of, and that's been a fan favourite. This means that Blackwings have continued getting support over their life, even rivaling that of another fan favourite, which is Heroes. In the modern era, we're using Blackwing's still great spam ability to either build a board or tear the opponents down. So let's dive right in and see how high these birds fly. Okay, so starting off, we've got 3 Simoon the Poison Wind. So Simoon is a great starter. So you can banish a Blackwing from hand to normal summon him after setting a Whirlwind to your field. So he searches Whirlwind, which is great. He does lock you down into darks, which means that we're kind of having to build quite a considerable amount of the deck around him, especially the extra deck. But he's well worth the addition. It's just a shame he's got a bit of a price tag up on him at the moment. Speaking of another card which has got a bit of a price tag, it's Kris, the Crack of Dawn, and we're running 3 of him as well. So we're kind of aiming to maximise the number of playable level 4 Blackwings that we're running. And Kris the Crack of Dawn's got a great ability where he can just special summon himself if you control a Blackwing. It's a bit sad because he is once per turn. He also has a once per turn can't be destroyed by spell and trap card effects, which is obviously not relevant in the slightest. From there we're running 3 Bora the Spear, which you would have thought Bora would have been outdated by now, but he's a super solid card, great extender. He's got piercing, which doesn't come up very often, but he can special summon himself if you control a Blackwing card, and that is not once per turn. So if you have multiple Boras, or if you end up with Bora back in your hand for whatever reason, you can special summon him again. Obviously he's got 200 attack less than Kris, but this rarely comes up. From there, 3 of, we're running Auster the Southwind. So Auster is a special summon from the Banish Zone, so he pairs really well with Simoon. He can also banish himself to place counters on your opponent's cards, which comes up in the extra deck. He can't be special summoned, which is a little bit sad, but again, he pairs so well with Simoon that he's definitely worth a run. We're running 1 Zephyros the Elite. So Zephyros the Elite has been a consistently good card since he was released. Again, the once per duel thing is a little bit sad, but it's well worth it, and he's our target for kind of our main play most of the time. From there, we're running some more extenders, so we're running 3 Gale the Whirlwind in 3 different rarities. Excellent, good job. So Gale, like Bora, can just special summon himself, and again, he isn't once per turn. He also has a attack halving effect, which also isn't once per turn. So if you have multiple Gales, you can halve your opponent's monsters multiple times. From there, we're running a couple of others, which are slightly newer, which is Harmattan the Dusk, who is a special summon if you control 1 or more Blackwing, and he can level manipulate, so you can add the level of another Blackwing monster you control to his level, which is great because it means that with Gale you can go to a level 8 or etc, etc. From there, we're running 2 Oroshi the Squall. He's the one that I care least about, but you kind of need a lot of names because obviously the ones that are once per turn, you want to make sure that you've not got multiples of those. From there, we're running a few non-Blackwing monsters. So I'm running 2 Caligo Claw Crow, and I've toyed with playing Gust instead, which is the one that's a Blackwing monster that you can special summon if you control no cards, but Caligo feels like it comes up more often, so Caligo you can just special summon if you control a dark monster. But you can only special summon the Crow once per turn that way. And from there we're kind of running our engine card, which is kind of for the new stuff, which is Mist Valley Apex Avian. So he's a bounce, a Mist Valley card to your hand in order to negate anything. And from there we're running some hand traps, and we're just running 3 Effect Veiler. Again, this could be whatever you want. I've got quite a few decks, and making everyone run infinite impairments would cost me an arm and a leg. Alright. Okay, so onto the spell section. I mean, obviously, you know, you can see from the monster section that this is going to be reasonably small. So we're running 3 Black Whirlwind. Again, this is a time this is on the forbidden list. So when a Blackwing is normal summoned, you can add another Blackwing with less attack from your deck to your hand, which is still great. We're not running Northung anymore and stuff like that. It's just not good enough. So the maximum you're going to be searching with this is 2, once with the Simoon summon and then once with whatever normal summon you've got. Still, the continuous add is well worth having on board. I probably should pick myself up some better ones than these commons. So from there, we're running some generic draw power, which is the 3 Allure of Darkness. This pairs reasonably well with the Auster if you can get it out in combination, but even if you don't, it's well worth cycling through some cards so that you can see, you know, your Black Whirlwinds, your Simoon, your key starting cards. From there, we're running 3 Call by the Grave. Let's try and stop your opponent from attacking your crunch points, your vital points that need to go through. From there, this is a new one that I've added, which is 2 Pot of Avarice. So I think this could be whatever you want, really. You know, you could play more hand traps or, you know, some different draw power or whatever, but I think that Blackwings have a tendency to kind of blow everything in kind of their first turn play, be that on your first turn or, you know, going first against your opponent's board. Pot of Avarice can be a bit of a recovery play, and it also gives you that extra, you know, recycles your extra deck from what you've done. So from there, running an engine card, which is the Rank Up Magic Soulshave Force. And again, this is for our newer cards that we got in Dual Overload. And from there, we're running some generic stuff, which is the Monster Reborn for the extension / recovery, and the Upstart Goblin for generic draw. Okay, so on to the extra deck. First up, we're running Raikiri, the Rain Shower. So he can destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of other Blackwing monsters you control. So he can be a really good board wipe given the correct setup. Obviously you do need that correct setup, so it can be a little bit conditional. We're running 1 Dawn Dragster. Sometimes, you know, the level 7 synchro is kind of the easiest play given the hand situation, and Dawn Dragster is not a bad first turn negator. And they're running 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, which is relatively easy to get to, and we've kind of got a combo that I'll display after this that can get to him relatively easily. He's a big body and an Omni Negate, so why wouldn't you run him? From there, we're running 1 Beelze of the Diabolic Dragons, and again you could kind of run whatever you wanted to here, but sometimes a big beater with protection's all you really need, and you can slot this in defense position if your opponent can't get around it. Another big beater is Full Armor Master. So he's unaffected by cards, unlike Beelze, who can not destroyed by battle or card effect. Each time your opponent activates card effect, you can put a counter on them as well, and you can Big Eye, so you can steal your opponent's monster with a counter on it, and during your end phase you can also blow up everything with a counter on it. And Auster is one of the ones that can put a counter on each of your opponent's monsters, so it pairs quite well together. It doesn't come up super often, but again, Full Armor Master is definitely worth the addition. So from there, we're running 4 XYZs, we're running 4 Strix. So 4 Strix searches out a load of our level 4 Blackwing monsters and also triggers off to search the Soulshave Force. From there, we're running an underrated card in my opinion, and that's Evilswarm Nightmare. So it's 2 dark monsters, so you know that's relatively easy to get to, and he's a Book of Moon whenever your opponent special summons a monster, which obviously you're not going to be able to stop the link summon, but if you can stop the monster that's going to go into the link summon, then obviously you've done all right. But that's not once per turn, so you can do that twice, which is really solid. And from there, running 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity, so this is so that we can climb from the 4 Strix into a rank 6. So he's Omni Negate and he can absorb monsters, so he's obviously very good. And then because we need a dark target for that, we're also running Dragulas, the Vampiric Dragon, who is a worm. So he's a Book of Moon and can also special summon himself back, so he's not bad. Obviously he's no Cyber Dragon, but you need to work around that dark limitation. And then rounding up the extra deck, we've got a few link monsters. So your main starter and hand trap target will be Raidraptor Y-Strix. So when it's link summoned, you can special summon a level 4 Darkwing Beast monster, which is obviously quite a few, but your main target is Zephyros for that, just for the extension. And whenever a Raidraptor XYZ monster is activated, you can set a rank up magic from your deck to the field, which is our Soul Shave Force, so everything kind of comes together in that way. From there I'm running Knightmare Phoenix as generic removal. Sometimes you just need to get rid of that back row. And then Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty. So he can't be targeted on any Wing Beast monster he points out, also can't be targeted. During the end phase you can special summon a Wing Beast monster from your hand or deck with a level less than the number of free spell and trap card slots, which is basically whatever you want. So that's how you're getting out the Apex Avian. So you can get to Y-Strix, 4 Strix, and then Bird of Sovereignty. You've kind of got 2 negates from that alone. And from there, running a couple more generic things. So running 1 Decode Talker. Sometimes kind of that link 3 that's dark is needed, and his targeting negation isn't bad. From there, running 1 Borreload Dragon. So again, can't be targeted and reduces attack by 500, and he's a problem solver because he's kind of non-targeting nicking of the opponent's monster when he attacks. And finally, we've got Bowl Sword Dragon. So this is a battle phase kind of disruptor, and he's also an OTK machine if you happen to be going second. Hi again guys, we're in zoomed out mode as you can see. So I'm about to display a Blackwing combo, and this is kind of like a 1.5 card Blackwing combo. So basically what you need is Simoon and then any other Blackwing. The combo is preferable if you use a level 4 Blackwing for this. So we're going to start up and we're going to activate the Simoon, banishing the level 4, in this case Kris, to pay the cost, which will activate our Black Whirlwind from the deck, and then we can normal summon the Simoon by its own effect. This will trigger Black Whirlwind, which will search for Auster. Because we haven't actually used our normal summon when we use the Simoon's effect, we can then normal summon the Auster. Auster's effect will activate, as will Black Whirlwind. You probably want to activate Wonders Chainlink 1 to protect it from Ash, should you wish. I mean, probably have already been Ashed at this point if they have the Ash. And then Auster will special summon back the Crack of Dawn, and Whirlwind's effect will then add a summonable monster with less attack than Auster. In this case, we're using Harmattan the Dusk. So from there we can special summon Harmattan because we control a Blackwing monster. You could use its level manipulation, although there's absolutely 0 point at this stage in the combo. So from there we're going to perform our first extra deck summon, and we're going to use the Simoon and the Harmattan. We're going to leave the level 4s on board because we need them later. So we're going to summon the Y-Strix. So Y-Strix effect is going to activate, and that's going to special summon Zephyros the Elite. Obviously if you've actually opened Zephyros the Elite, this combo doesn't really change that much because you'll banish Zephyros with Simoon, and then at this point everything will be exactly the same. So from there we're going to overlay, and we're going to leave Auster because we've opened a level 4. We kind of want to keep Auster on board, and we're going to go for 4 Strix. So from there we're going to detach Zephyros particularly in order to search for Bora, which we'll add to our hand, and this will trigger the Y-Strix, which will set the Soul Shave Force. So from there we're going to perform a couple of special summons. It doesn't really matter what order you're doing this in. So we're going to special summon Bora the Spear, and then we're going to bounce the Black Whirlwind, paying 400, so this is now in our hand, which I'm going to signify by being slightly off, to special summon the Zephyros the Elite, so that's cost us 400 there. So from there we can perform another link summon, so we're going to use the Zephyros, the 4 Strix and the Y-Strix. All that goes away. I'm going to summon Bowl Sword Dragon. So Bowl Sword is going to give us a bit of battle disruption. So from there we can do whatever we want in whatever order, but we can activate Soul Shave Force, which will bring back the 4 Strix. and then overlay on top of that number 24 Dragulas. So again, we need to stick to dark monsters because we use Simoon. You know, if you haven't used Simoon, then you can go to Cyber Dragon Infinity, but obviously not in this particular combo. Soul Shade Force is going to cost us half our life points, so we're now on 38, which is a bit of danger zone, but in my opinion it's well worth it. And then we can use the Auster and the Bora to go to Borreload Savage Dragon and equip the Y Strix to it. So it's got 2 counters and an extra 700. So we've got Battle Disruption, we've got a Book of Moon for extra deck monsters, and we've got an Omni Negate, and that was all from, you know, kind of 2 cards. You've got a Black Whirlwind in hand, ready for next turn. And you've also got 3 other cards at your disposal as well. But with this combo you can see that we've used a lot of our a lot of cards basically. So, and that's why I'm running Pot of Avarice, to try and, you know, offset that by recycling some stuff and getting back into the game, back into the advantage. Okay, so in conclusion, Blackwings aren't as powerful as they were in their heyday, but they can still produce a very solid board going first, or have a really good attempt at cracking through your opponent's board going second. This build is around $320 based on my estimates from TCG Player, which is a shame that some of the Blackwing cards, through lack of reprints, have really bumped up this price. In terms of how good they are currently and how they stack up against the meta, I'd say that they're never really going to be anything other than Rogue at the moment. So around 3 slugs out of 5, I would say. They're still very good, and if you get the chance to put up your board, you know, your opponent's going to have a hard time cracking through it. In terms of fun, I would say there's some very definite linear plays in the deck, but you can expand that with some non-linear variation around, which makes it the same for me, so 3 out of 5 slugs. I would say it's a relatively good deck in terms of, you know, for a new duelist, just because of, you know, that combination of linear and non-linear play, as well as all the extra deck mechanics that are knocking around in here. What I will say is I'm not running, you know, the kind of power ceiling increase cards that stuff like Union Kyria bring. So like that's like the Buster Lock or, you know, your Thunderbird. Not because I think that, you know, it's terrible. I just think that the bricks that you're introducing into the deck and the consistency loss is not worth the offset for the increase in the power ceiling. Alright, so thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the other profiles on my channel. Alright, see you next time.